First, I know it does feel way too soon to be talking about the 2024 presidential election, but let me tell you, whether you like it or not, it is well and truly campaign season. Right now, it's shaping up to be a Trump and Biden rematch, mainly because too many people are hedging their bets to step up and back a long-shot candidate. But first, let's talk about Joe Biden this week. He tried to take a rebrand of one of the biggest liabilities of his tenure as president, the economy.
Well, look, you guys branded it. I didn't. I never called it Bidenomics, and so I was asked the question, why did I...
Your economics team is calling it Bidenomics.
No, wait, let's get it straight. First time we're hearing the Wall Street Journal, okay? I don't go around beating my chest Bidenomics. So the press started calling it Bidenomics. I like it. It's fine.
Okay, let's be clear. Bidenomics has, up until now, been something of an insult. It was first coined by the Wall Street Journal and conservatives to explain rampant inflation that's hit America over the last couple of years. Now, this is his big Bidenomics pitch.
I ran on the promise I was going to end this, and that I began to build an economy from the middle out and the bottom up. We're not going to continue down the trickle-down path as long as I'm president. This is the moment. We're finally going to make a break and move away from an economy that has existed in a fundamentally different direction. Here's the simple truth about trickle-down economics. It didn't represent the best of American capitalism, let alone America. It represented a moment where we walked away, and how many in this country, from how this country was built, how this city was built.
The US Bureau of Labor Statistics shows consumer goods are up 15% since Biden took office. Americans have way more credit card debt than at any other point in US history, almost $1 trillion. And the technical recession's about to feel really real, just in time for the 2024 presidential election. Not only is Biden trying to find the words to spin a bad story in the lead up to 2024, he's up against Donald Trump, whose biggest saving grace is that every American saw their 401k savings go up while he was in office, whether he actually had anything to do with it or not. If the economy isn't Joe Biden's biggest liability, his age certainly is, and it's becoming harder than ever to ignore. When leaving the White House ahead of what was supposed to be his big landmark speech on the economy in Chicago, the president stopped to take questions from reporters. It's there he confused Iraq with Ukraine.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world. And it's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations.
Look, everyone makes mistakes. I know I certainly do. But the president did make the exact same mistake the night before. The White House released a transcript of remarks President Biden made at a private fundraiser at a benefactor's home in a swanky suburb just north of Washington, D.C. Now, the transcript reads, "Think about this. If anybody told you and my staff wasn't so sure either that we'd be able to bring all of Europe together in the onslaught on Iraq and get NATO to be completely united, I think they would have told you it's not likely." That looks an awful lot like advisors struck out Iraq and replaced it with Ukraine, suggesting the president didn't notice his same mistake the evening before either. Look, Joe Biden does have a well-documented stutter, but this isn't his stutter. This is not even close to being a one-off, and he is running for president again, so these questions will keep coming up. This is all while the president fronted up to answer questions from reporters, which he rarely does compared to previous presidents. But he did seem to show that there was visible marks on his face from some kind of mask. We're told it's a CPAP machine for sleep apnea, but it does raise another question. We have an 80-year-old president who would be 82 taking his second term and 86 when he leaves office. An ABC News Washington Post poll this week found 68% of Americans say Joe Biden is too old for another term. For the first time, Donald Trump's pulling ahead of Joe Biden in head-on-head polling. And that's on the Democrats. In politics, perception can be as powerful as reality. I hear all the time from DC insiders who tell me how switched on Joe Biden is, how he's so experienced and well across his brief. But next year, it's not up to anyone here inside the Beltway. You need to make that case to voters in Wisconsin, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and that's going to be a tough sell.